Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video today. We're here with part 34 of our F1 2021 MyTeam Career mode here for the Mexican Grand Prix. Last time out we were in USA where we finished just off the podium. Unfortunately we just missed out and yeah, Lando Norris did have an amazing comeback in that race as well. If you haven't seen that, make sure to go check it out before you see this one. You can see Lando is still leading the championship by quite a fair margin. Verstappen had a pretty good opportunity to close that gap, but he made a silly mistake, made contact with us, and spun out, ended up finishing second. Well, Norris was able to come from 15th on the grid all the way up to third place. So that's the sort of drive you need to be leading the championship, and that's what Norris is doing at the moment. You can see Sainz is currently 4th in the driver's standings, and we are 6th, and both of us are out of the running for the driver's standings. So yeah, we've got a lot of work to do if we want to try and fight for second in the constructors. We're currently in a battle with Red Bull. I think we're beating them by 1 point at this stage of the championship, and as you can see coming into this round in Mexico, ourselves and Mercedes and McLaren and Ferrari have all flatlined into this. We've brought no performance upgrades, but Red Bull seem to have brought maybe a couple minor upgrades into this round. So yeah, we've got to watch out for them. They should theoretically be on top of it this weekend. Ferrari have seen on top though, so yeah, let's see what happens. Let's move on to the race.
Here we go then, it's time to race in Mexico City, a place which gave Honda their first ever victory back in 1965. American Richie Ginther won from 3rd on the grid. And what are the Honda powered cars this year? Well, Red Bull have been going strong here in recent seasons, so can they keep that record going today? At 2,285 metres above sea level, the thin air of the Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez poses a unique challenge. Not just to a driver's skill, but to the efficiency of their engines as well. 17 corners make up a lap of this 2.6-mile circuit, and you can expect incredible speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and overtaking too into the hard braking zones of turns 1 and turn 4. It's just about time to go to the track for the beginning of the race, but before we do, Anthony Davidson, what types of strategy do you think we can expect for today's event?
Well, there's a lot that both the driver and the team have to keep in mind when going into a race. The tyres, fuel, energy recovery systems, the list goes on and on. But I think the key to today's victory will come down to the pit stop strategy. Come in too soon and you might find yourself needing more than one stop. Too late and you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by spending longer on worn tyres.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hamilton, Benjamin, Carlos Sainz and Verstappen, Perez, Norris, Ricciardo and Charles Leclerc. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Fernando Alonso, Russell, Esteban Ocon and Tsunoda. Raikkonen, Matsushita, Lance Stroll, they've taken a grid penalty, and Nicholas Latifi. Giovinazzi, Mick Schumacher, Mazepin and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot today. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Only 3 races left. You still have a chance at the title, but we're going to need some special performances. See what you can do.
So here we are lined up on the grid for the Mexican Grand Prix, and we had a pretty decent qualifying, ending up in P4 there with our teammate Carlos Sainz in P5 just behind us, so not a bad session at all for our team. A couple interesting things to note is that everyone seems to be on the soft compound tyre, and I feel like this is going to be a 2-stop race. I think the 1 stop might be possible, but I think you're going to lose a lot of time because I think the undercut is very strong around this track, and the tyres wear out quite a lot around here. More things, Lando Norris, championship leader, is down in 8th, and Charles Leclerc in the other Ferrari had a grid penalty, I assume, for engine parts. And so those two guys will be looking to make their way up the field. So we're going to have to watch out for those guys because they are very quick and they will be making their way through the pack at max speed. So as we go to 5 red lights, we are underway for the Mexican Grand Prix. It's a very good start compared to Hamilton, You can see Sainz is also coming up alongside him, and he's actually had a better start than a lot of us, and he's already up into P3, and we've got Max Verstappen now right behind us trying to find a way through. Lando Norris is there, Perez is there, everyone is trying to find a way around. Verstappen dives it into turn 1. We've got Perez alongside us here, and we've lost a few spots now. We're down to P6 from P4 start, so not the best getaway for us. Sainz has had a really good one. He's in third. He's actually challenging Vettel for P2 now as we head down to turn 5, I believe this is here. And we're just sort of stuck behind the Red Bull of Max Verstappen, and we all have to check up quite a bit because Sainz and Vettel are going side by side, but Sainz does win out there. And so our teammate up into P2 already in this race, so quite differing starts there. I've had a pretty shocking one, and Sainz had a very, very good one. But as we now head onto lap 2 down the main straight, do we have the speed to close in on that Honda-powered Red Bull? It doesn't look like it. We're all obviously in a big slipstream train here as we head down towards turn 1. We're just going to have to try and make sure we get as close as possible through these first 3 turns to stay as close into the slipstream as possible down this second straight here. Obviously no DRS yet, but we are close enough to go for a move into turn 4. I believe this is, I think I said it was turn 5 earlier, that's my mistake. As we go alongside Max Verstappen, we are on the inside and we do get ahead of the Dutchman in the Red Bull. Obviously he's again trying to capitalize on Norris being a bit further down the pack, so yeah, he will be wanting to get back past us, although he has lost quite a bit of time. And now he's actually got his teammate Sergio Perez here challenging him down the inside. They're going to go side by side. Perez does get ahead. Obviously, Perez here in Mexico at his home Grand Prix, he'll be wanting to put on as good a show as possible for the home crowd. And yeah, passing a teammate, and your teammate being Max Verstappen and passing him is quite a good way to do that. And it'll be interesting to see what sort of pace he has to show for the remainder of this Grand Prix. But you can see we are chasing down Lewis Hamilton. Here's a good onboard camera with our front wing as we head down the main straight. Obviously not closing in too much. We're just over half a second away, so the slipstream isn't quite as effective as it could be. But I do know that I am very, very strong through these first 3 corners. You can see as we head down this second straight, we've closed in quite a bit. But obviously we won't be close enough to go for a move quite yet. But as we now head down this little back section, we do have the DRS on Hamilton. We're going to pull to the inside of the last second there, making sure that there's as much slipstream as possible, and it ends up being quite a simple move on Lewis Hamilton to get ourselves up into P4. So yeah, very, very good move, very textbook, very clean as well. Good to see no contact between us, and hopefully we now have the pace to pull away. Although now we get down the main straight, obviously Hamilton's going to have the DRS on us, so he's going to be trying to find a way through. We pull all the way to the inside to try and get out of the slipstream, but it doesn't really matter. These guys with the DRS, Hamilton followed us anyway to get the slipstream, so Hamilton's going to get quite easily down the inside. I'm going to try and brake and get a little bit of a cutback, but he actually slows right down, and that allows Perez to get ahead of us, but there was a bit of contact there, and I wonder if there's maybe a bit of damage for Sergio Perez. I checked with the engineer. I had no damage. I got away with that very luckily, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that Red Bull has any damage. We aren't quite able to get back ahead there. Obviously, he had the DRS still, as that is a double DRS straight there with the main straight and that back straight there. So he was able to retain that. Looking up ahead with Carlos Sainz, he's still chasing down Sebastian Vettel. He is within DRS, but I don't think he's got enough pace to really get right up behind him. But you can see we do have the pace to get right back up behind Perez, and he has to have some sort of damage. He's lost a bunch of time in Hamilton. Actually, you can see there on the front wing, he does have a chipped front wing there. So that is a massive shame for Perez. He's going to be very slow for the rest of this race unless he comes into the pit lane now for an extra pit stop. And yeah, I can't see coming into the pit lane now being possible while staying on the 2 stop. So it'll be interesting to see what Red Bull do, and they are pulling him in. Perez is into the pit lane. He'll probably have to do either a 3 stop or a 2 stop, but he'll have to go onto the hard tyres now. So huge shame for Perez in front of his home crowd there. He did seem to have quite a bit of pace, but he did just barge right up our inside and just hit our car. So yeah, I don't want to take any blame for that incident there. But it is a huge shame there for Perez. He was just trying to be a bit of an opportunist and get the move done. I would have done the same, but you can see, looking back to us now, we didn't have DRS on Hamilton. We did lose too much time behind Perez, but we have gotten ourselves right back up behind him with the slipstream and the use of overtake mode. You can see on lap 5 now we do have the DRS here, but actually not using it. We're going to stay behind Hamilton here, using some tactics down this back straight, because obviously we saw what happened last time when we passed him there. So I'm going to stick behind him so that now we can have the DRS down the main straight to get ahead of the Mercedes. So you can see we're staying as close as possible, trying to get the power down, stay right behind Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time champion, as we head on to lap number 6 now. We have the DRS, we're going to pull to the inside, and we're going to breeze past the Mercedes as we were nice and close at the beginning of the straight, and now we're able to pull right back onto the racing line, so into the braking zone. And that is the move. Nice done and dusted, and we'll also get an extra go at DRS down this back straight as well for good measure to help us pull away from Hamilton there. So as we go a bit further on into lap 6, there's actually a yellow flag if you look on the minimap there at the end of second one, and Max Verstappen is out of the Grand Prix, so Red Bull having an absolute shocker here, and Verstappen especially had an awesome opportunity to try and gain some points on Lando Norris in the championship, but it just seems like it's actually a power unit failure there, so nothing really of his fault, but you can see we cut back to our perspective perfectly there, as we set a fastest lap at the end of lap 6 there, so we've got some good pace, and we're going to have a little look at the running order on lap 8. So it's Valtteri Bottas for Mercedes leading the way ahead of Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari, and then our teammate Carlos Sainz is still behind him in P3, and they are actually closing in on Bottas, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that later on. And here's ourselves in P4. We actually got completely clear air, 6 seconds ahead, 4 seconds back to Hamilton here in P5, and then he's got Charles Leclerc in P6, who's done a good job from 10th place on the grid to get himself up into 6th. Daniel Ricciardo is in P7 in the McLaren. Alonso and Ocon are 8th and 9th for Alpine, and Latifi is 10th. And you'll notice a big name missing, Lando Norris, who's the championship leader. Look at him, he's right down in P20. Here's Sergio Perez, here's where he's ended up after having to make that early pit stop. He's right down in 18th, so he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to even get into the points at his home Grand Prix. But the bigger news is obviously Lando Norris, the championship leader. Verstappen obviously retired from the race, so he's sort of lucky in that regard. But yeah, P20 is not where Lando would want to be. He'll want to be getting as many points as possible to consolidate that championship lead as much as possible. So yeah, he's sort of a bit lucky, but also a bit unlucky in that regard as we go on to lap 9 now. Leclerc has actually closed up to Lewis Hamilton now. As we head on to lap 10, you can see he's going to have the DRS. That's going to be sort of similar to the move that we made to Hamilton a few laps ago, except Leclerc's going to go to the outside, but he is completely ahead before the braking zone. You can see Lewis tucking back in under that rear wing by the time they are on the brakes, and now Leclerc is in P5, and he's going to be looking to chase us down now. It's a 7-second gap, so I don't know how much pace he has over us, but it's going to be a lot of work. But Ferrari have been real quick ever since Monza when they brought in this new livery and sort of reinvigorated themselves with those new sponsors. So yeah, they've been real good. They've been challenging for the wins. They got a 1-2. I believe each driver has won a race. Now I think it was Vettel last time, Leclerc won in Japan. They weren't quite up there for the win in Monza, I believe. But they have been mega quick ever since, and obviously Sebastian Vettel in that battle for the lead now here in Mexico, and Leclerc has worked his way up from P10 on the grid. So those guys are going to be a real force to be reckoned with heading into the next season possibly, because they real on form. Both drivers and the car is real quick as well. So yeah, a lot to focus on there, but you can see we just made our first pit stop onto another set of soft tyres. We'll be going onto a set of mediums later on in the race should everything go to plan. But yeah, just going to now try and get this undercut on the guys around us to see if we can maybe close up, because we do have quite a gap to make. But you can see Sebastian Vettel actually got ahead of Bottas in that pit stop phase, but now here comes Valtteri Bottas back up behind that Ferrari. He's going to go to the inside. They both have to maneuver around Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri there, but Bottas does get back ahead there in the Mercedes. So Vettel did manage to get ahead for a lap or two there, but Bottas is able to get back ahead, and you can see our teammate Sainz is actually still behind Tsunoda, and it looks like he might actually get a little bit held up here through turns 4 and 5, but hopefully the AlphaTauri can get out of his way, and you can see there he does. So Sainz is going to stay in this battle. It looks like he's just within a second, so he should still get DRS and stay in that three-way battle for the lead. So hopefully our teammate can sort of pull something out there and actually get in amongst it, as opposed to just sort of following him around. But here we are in P4. You can see 3 seconds now, as opposed to the 6 seconds we had before the first pit stop phase. But you can see a half a lap behind us here on the other side of the track to where we are. Here's Sergio Perez passing Mick Schumacher and getting himself back into the points. So very well driven from Perez. We saw he was down in P18 earlier on, and he's managed to work his way past all those cars. You can see he's on the hard compound tyre, so it looks like Red Bull brought him in for a bit of an undercut there on all those other guys, and he's on the hard compound tyre. and he's now back in the points main position. So very good from Red Bull there. Looks like they might be able to actually salvage some points for themselves, and Perez some pride for his home Grand Prix. You can see now, not a lot really happened in that one stint other than what I just showed you. As we come in now for our second stop on lap 23. There's Vettel. Vettel, the only other driver, sort of right up the front here, that's coming into the pit lane. You can see we're on to the medium tyres. And here, yeah, you can see we're still in P5 at this point. Leclerc, the only driver to have gone past us. As we now have a look at our minimap, you can see Lewis Hamilton's only just now entering the pit lane. We've got an entire pit stop worth of time over Hamilton. So Hamilton, for whatever reason, has lost a whole bunch of pace. We've got 40 seconds to Alonso, who's the next driver behind Hamilton. But you can see now, cutting forward to lap 25, we've sort of broken the nut that we've been trying to crack this whole race, as we now have DRS on our teammate Carlos Sainz, and we are now officially a part of this battle. It's no longer a three-way battle for the lead, it's now a four-way battle for the lead, as we now head on to lap 27, where we are going to try and chase down our teammate down the main straight. You can see we've got quite a few cars coming out of the pit lane. We've gone for a few that were on pit exit. There's Giovinazzi that's just re-entered the track, and there's Mick Schumacher, who luckily gets out of the way as well. So decided not to try and send a dive on Sainz there, just because of all those lap cars that were going past. I didn't want to risk maybe scaring the AI into making some weird erratic movements. But now down this back straight, we are right behind our teammate. We're going to pull to the outside. This is going to be for turn 4. We're also making sure not to drill the back of Sebastian Vettel there, but we do get the move done. That is us up onto a podium position. We did just miss out on a podium last time out in the USA, which really sucked. And now this time, we do seem to have the pace to have gotten ourselves onto the podium, and now to try and chase down Sebastian Vettel for second place here. Vettel obviously won last time out in USA as well. So a lot of the same runners up at the front, but also a lot of different orders and everything. As you can see, heading on to lap 28, we now have the pace to go for a move on Sebastian Vettel, trying to hang it around the outside of turn 1, and we do get the move done on the German in the Ferrari. And that is us up into P2, now 2.5 seconds off of Valtteri Bottas. So we've got a lot of work to do if we want to try and chase down the race win here. But you can see we've allowed Sainz the opportunity to now go for a move on Sebastian Vettel. He's going to try and pull a similar move to what we pulled on him just a lap ago, as he goes around the outside of turn 4 and gets the move done heading into the double right-hander here and gets himself into P3. So it's a double podium for us at the moment here at Zvezky Racing. But you can see as we head into the big S section of the track, we've got Gasly and Stroll racing each other. They're going side by side throughout this whole section. Neither one of them is going to want to back out here and lose position to the other. So we've lost a massive amount of time to these guys. We do finally get the opportunity to pull alongside them, but we've lost that much time behind them. But Sainz is now right behind us. He's also been able to get ahead of both of those guys. Sebastian Vettel did get held up, so it's a shame for him. But we've been backed right into our teammate again. You can see Vettel's actually really suffered. He's outside of DRS now, so he's not even going to be close enough to go for any moves down this straight or even be a part of this battle. But Sainz is right behind us. You can see I'm not even going to really try and defend this here, because I just know there's absolutely no point. Sainz is going to get the DRS. He easily pulls alongside us there, and he's well ahead before the braking zone. He's able to pull back onto the racing line. So now we've lost P2 to our teammate. But yeah, hopefully either Sainz has the pace to sort of drag me along with him up to Bottas, who's now got a 4-second lead, mind you. We lost that much time behind those lap cars. Or we're going to have the pace to get back ahead and pull away from our teammate. So you can see here, on lap 30, I am sort of just stuck behind him, so I would decide to go for a dive into turn 4. I'm going to try and get this position back on our teammate. You can see I'm going to sort of slow down here, go for the cutback out of turn 5. We do get a better run into the double right-hander, and we're going to go side by side with our teammate. Have we got ourselves ahead? Not quite. We're still going to go side by side, and now we're going to do what the lap cars were doing just a lap ago. We're going to go side by side through the S section, make sure not to make contact with our teammate. I don't want to make him lose any more positions. Obviously, that's what happened last time out in the USA. He was battling for a podium position before he made contact with, I believe it was Verstappen, and broke his front wing. You can see now behind us, though, Vettel has gotten alongside our teammate as they head into Sector 3. We head into the stadium section. You can see Lance Stroll is just behind these guys as well, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. We've got enough of a gap now. We've got over a second, so these guys won't have DRS over us as they head around the final corner. They're still going side by side, these guys. They are really, really pushing this as we head onto lap 31, down the main straight. Sainz, unfortunately, was the one that loses out on DRS there. Vettel will have it, so Vettel's going to pull ahead as they head down the main straight. Sainz is going to try and get that bit of a slipstream there. But as they head into turn 1, Lance Stroll is going to dive it up the inside as well. I don't know why he's trying to get himself involved in this battle. He's a lapped car as they head through turn 3. Now Stroll goes very wide and he makes contact with Sainz. And I think that's possibly broken Sainz's front wing, because look, he's lost so much time now as they head out of the final corner and Sainz comes into the pit lane. He has to change his front wing. That is a massive, massive shame for our teammate there. He's going to lose a bunch of positions. You can see Vettel gets ahead of us now down the main straight on lap 32 as well. But that's just unbelievable. The last few races have been real unlucky for us. Only one of us has really been able to do half decent. In Japan, I only scored 1 point. The round before that, I scored no points. And then the last 2 rounds now, Sainz is going to have to come in for an extra pit stop to change his front wing. So, yeah, we're really, really struggling to get both cars to perform well. But you can see onto lap 33, we're going to try and make a move on Sebastian Vettel to get back into second place, and we do. But look at Valtteri Bottas now. The win is absolutely gone. He's almost 8 seconds up the road at this point. But we run a little bit wide out of the double right-hander, and this real good battle with Vettel for second place. That Ferrari is a real quick car. I'm really struggling to stay ahead of it around a lap of this track as we go side by side through the S section, trying. I don't want to lose position here to the German. As we now head down the back straight, Vettel is going to have the DRS, so he's going to try and go around the outside here. And is he going to keep the position? Yes, he is. We're still going side by side. He goes for a massive dive into the hairpin here. The fans in the stadium section will be absolutely loving this. But you can see Lance Stroll is again right behind us now. But hopefully he doesn't cause any more trouble for us as we head on to lap 34. Only 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix. We're going to have the DRS to chase Vettel down the main straight here. Are we going to be able to get the position off of him? As we head down the main straight, we're going to fly past the German into turn 1. So, yeah, hopefully we now, with the DRS down the next straight out of turn 3, we'll be able to pull enough of a gap to stay ahead. As you can see, Vettel not actually even close enough to sort of work with any slipstream to stay ahead of us there. It'll be interesting to see if even Stroll's able to get ahead of him as we head into turn 4. But there is actually a yellow flag, and it is Valtteri Bottas. He has an engine issue, same as Verstappen earlier on. He's just slowing down, no fault of his own, and he's going to lose the lead and the win of the Mexican Grand Prix with 2.5 laps to go because of an engine drama for the Mercedes there. That doesn't bode well for us, because obviously we have Mercedes engine as well, so hopefully we're able to hold on for the end of the race. But that has just raised the stakes tenfold on this battle, because now instead of racing for the 2 minor placings on the podium, Vettel and I are now racing for the race win here in Mexico. So this has just made everything 10 times more dramatic. We're going to go side by side through the stadium section. There's only 2 more laps to go after this. You can see, I think Vettel just speed us across that DRS detection zone, which means we're going to have DRS down the main straight. So we're going to have 2 laps remaining. This race has just absolutely turned on its head. We are now racing for the race win against Sebastian Vettel here, who won last time out in USA, so he's on absolute top form as we fly past the German once again down the main straight. I've said that quite a bit. The DRS around this track is very, very strong, obviously, with very long straights as well. As we now head on to the final lap of the Grand Prix, Vettel is behind us, so he's going to have the DRS, you can see, pulling right over to the inside like we did with Hamilton earlier to try and break the slipstream. And I'm going to weave all over the track, sort of similar to what we saw Verstappen do last year in the 2021 season. When he on that final lap when he was battling Hamilton. But you can see, unlike Hamilton, Vettel is able to get right up alongside us and challenge us into turn 1 here. We're going to go side by side. Is Vettel going to be able to get us here? Not quite, but he's going to have the DRS again down this straight. He's right behind us. He's going to pull to the outside. We're going to go side by side into turn 4. He's going to brake. He's going to get the move sweeping around the outside. I'm going to try and make the move stick here around the outside. Obviously, Stroll was there, so I couldn't do what I did last time where I slowed down, let Vettel go, and got the cutback. But now we're going to go side by side into the S's section, but Vettel has pulled ahead here. Half a lap to go. Vettel now has the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. Are we going to be able to stay close enough to maybe get a move done? We've only really got this 1 DRS zone that we are coming up to now, and the 1 hairpin in the stadium section, so we're going to get nice and close. But Vettel goes very defensive. He sort of parked the car mid-track, made it very difficult for us to overtake. So into the hairpin, I'm going to dive, and I want this race win. There's contact between us as I sort of push my way through into the race win. Very controversial there, but the FIA hasn't penalised us, so we're going to come around the final corner to win the Mexican Grand Prix.
To whom it may concern, have that.
Absolutely awesome. Just amazing. Well done.
The thin air here in Mexico City makes this event a brutal one for these Formula One cars. But this team have done a fantastic job to make it to the checkered flag and take a well-earned victory. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
A show-stopping performance from the three drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure.
Well, here we are with the results for the Mexican Grand Prix, and oh my goodness, what a race that was. Action right to pretty much the last corner there. We take the win in Mexico just over Sebastian Vettel, and Charles Leclerc made an awesome comeback to come back to P3. Sainz also did a very good job to end up in P4 after having to do that extra pit stop. Yeah, good race for us in the end there with a first and a fourth. That's really good for us in the constructors, especially considering Red Bull only got 6 points there with Perez in P7, who also himself made a very good comeback there. You can see in terms of the drivers, Lando leads by 42 points. With only 2 races to go, that's 52 points up for grabs. I'd say he's got it in the bag. He only has to score 10 more points to absolutely confirm it over the next 2 races. Sainz has moved himself up into P2 there now, and ourselves were actually in P4, so it's actually pretty close between 2nd to 6th there. Only 10 points between the 5 of us, so very good battle at the front of the drivers' standings. But in terms of the constructors, we are quite ahead of Red Bull now in terms of the drivers, and it is into constructors, and it is still possible for us to actually close in on McLaren if they can keep having some poor races like from Lando, and if Daniel has a retirement or 2 as well, that would really help us out. But I'd say P2 is really what we're aiming for the rest of this season. So yeah, we've actually done a lot better this season than I was initially expecting at the very start. I was sort of expecting maybe battling for 4th or 5th, but we've done very well. Next time out we'll be in Brazil, which is a track that, again, I really enjoy. Obviously, I enjoy quite a lot of the tracks, but Brazil especially, I think, is a track that I can be quite quick at, and is very good for overtaking as well. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.